Consider this contentious idea. Innovation is being undermined in the United States, dammed up by our current policy. This fact is not only creating a huge anchor on our US economy, but also eroding our advantage in high technology. This is the big problem that a new book by Bill Bonvillian of MIT and Chuck Weiss of Georgetown takes on. Titled Technological Innovation in Legacy Sectors and published by Oxford University Press, the book tackles why we have tied an anchor to our own innovation. How can this possibly be? From politicians to scientists to business people, the answer to various US economic woes has always been the battle cry of innovation. And this battle cry carries with it a specific vision: America asserting itself on the cutting edge, becoming the center of advancement. There is no lack of enthusiasm behind innovation, nor are these empty promises. America does lead the world in tech. The United States has been at the forefront of almost all new technologies since World War II. Information tech and biotech are only the latest waves. How can one visit, say, Silicon Valley and possibly believe innovation is being undermined? The answer is that we have only looked at one side of the problem. Because of a classic American blind spot, we always look toward the West, and so we have forgotten the East. Not literally the West, though Silicon Valley is, quite aptly, on the West Coast, but the West as a representation of the frontier of technology. The tale of American history has been the search for greener pastures. In this metaphor, frontier sectors like biotech. We drive our tech-covered wagons west to unoccupied territory, where no established technologies reside, to resist the new. Economists tell us that innovation is the dominant cause of growth. Innovation in these frontier sectors has been tremendously important for the US economy. And because they are exciting, they are also the centerpiece for technology buzz and discussion. But the East is just as important. One of the most important features of innovation is disruption, creative destruction of the old. And where can we have disruption except in the East, where the old vanguard has remained? The problem is that there are certain sectors which have resisted innovation. These are gigantic sectors, such as energy, health delivery, transport, agriculture, construction, and even manufacturing have resisted innovation. We can call them legacy sectors. This is a huge problem because they necessarily constitute a larger part of the economy than frontier sectors. How have these legacy sectors resisted disruption? To answer this, think of legacy technologies. Take fossil fuel energy. It emerged in the 19th century, and its technologies, like gasoline internal combustion engines and coal-fired power plants, locked into the energy economy and continue to dominate it. But we need to lower carbon, so we need new clean technologies: solar, wind, electric cars, next-generation nuclear. But their entry into energy markets is very slow, because they are up against the locked-in legacy technologies. Due to network effects, the existing technology tends to reinforce itself the more pervasive it becomes. A legacy sector isn't just bigger, it's also more complicated. A sector is made up of a cluster of industries, each with their own networks that reinforce each other. Thus, a legacy sector is not just a network, but a whole ecosystem that excels at leaving disruption stillborn. If the typical ecosystem is a rainforest, where the best survive, then legacy sectors make a sparse, hardly habitable tundra. A much longer list of obstacles exist. To illustrate, imagine entrepreneur Jim with idea X to improve the economy. What does Jim face in trying to introduce a new technology? First, there are perverse cost structures. Second, there is an established institutional architecture. Third, there are politically powerful vested interests. Fourth, a financing system geared to incumbents. Fifth, public habits attuned to existing technology. Sixth, an established knowledge structure fitted to the technology. Seventh, limited R&D investment. Eighth, market imperfections. Thus, pushing out disruptive technologies in legacy sectors is extremely difficult. This is part of why both businesses and the government so often emphasize frontier sectors. But there is a problem with this approach, because current innovation policy focuses on the frontier sectors. It does not address the problem of legacy sectors. The problem is that frontier sectors are relatively small. If we brought innovation to legacy sectors as well, we'd have much stronger growth rate, and we could tackle some of our deepest problems, like energy or health delivery or expanded education that reside in legacy sectors. By not cutting the anchor that is holding back innovation in legacy sectors, we are stuck with limited growth and have trouble fixing out big problems. But it gets even worse. Growth in frontier sectors does not necessarily lead to jobs. Due to the decline of manufacturing in the US, one of our legacy sectors, the US has taken a strategy of focusing on design rather than production. This limits our growth because manufacturing is so good at creating jobs. It's estimated one manufacturing job creates 3 jobs in other sectors. Experts often advise the U.S. to focus on high-tech manufacturing because high-tech production jobs can create up to 16 jobs. But surprisingly, this strategy has not worked out. We've lost the high end. The latest Kindle could not be produced in the U.S. Its complex components such as lithium polymer battery, wireless card, and electrophoretic display are all made in China or Taiwan. The splash effects of the production of one Kindle thus happens overseas. Our tech advantage is not creating jobs. Why we've lost high-end production shows just how bad the problem has gotten. Here's a fact that should startle you. Every non-Apple branded computer or mobile device is not just manufactured in Asia, they are designed in Asia. Our strategy to focus on design instead of production has backfired. Knowledge of the production process is often integral to breakthrough innovation in design. When a country focuses on innovating to lower cost in low-end production, they end up establishing a foothold to move up to the high end. Innovations from the bottom become the basis for breakthrough innovations higher up the value-added chain, to more complex products, and even to the design of said products. Hence, we are not losing just jobs, but we are eroding our own technical innovation. None of this is intended to be alarmist. The US is still the high-tech leader of the world, and the world's growing economies shouldn't be viewed antagonistically. But from a policy perspective, the United States has a clear national interest in dealing with legacy sectors, particularly that of manufacturing. There are integral ties between the legacy and frontier sectors, between the East and the West of technology. If you want to read more, visit the blog in the description below.